What's up, guys? TJ and Sarah here with Blue Dog Ventures. Real Talk Sunday. I can't remember what episode this is. What is it?
Six. Episode 6.
Yeah, moving on along.
That's right. And we're doing something a little different today. We're diving into the deep end. If you look up the word homestead or homesteading, there's a lot of different definitions that you'll come across. And we just wanted to share with you our definition or what it is to us. It's just the mindset of taking what you have and making the most of it and providing the necessary things that you're capable of doing. Growing your own food in the garden and, raising animals for different things and different functions of the farm life and the homesteading way of life. For us, it's more about giving us purpose, and it's the lifestyle.
We both grew up this way as well. My dad, if you watch any of our videos, especially gardening videos, my dad loved gardening. That's why I got my little bit of a green thumb that I have. And we both grew up that way, and would like our kids pass it along to our kids. And they do to a certain extent. We both grew up in very rural areas. My dad was a diesel mechanic, so he had access. He worked on tractors and farm equipment. So we rented an old farmhouse from was where I grew up at, and always plenty of vegetables and stuff. He grew a garden, but I always had farmers that give us stuff too. And Daddy he's about like me on some stuff. He went a little overboard.
And kind of the same thing with me. My mom was a rural mail carrier, and the area that she carried mail in was way out from town towards the river, and there was a lot of farmers on her mail route. And this time of the year during the summer, when it was time to harvest, she would always bring home corn, watermelons, peas, tomatoes, you name it. Just her customers on the mail route would just leave and give to her because she'd done this for 25 years on the exact same route. And so you can imagine the relationship and the bond that she made with her customers. And so we also had access to a lot of various different summer veggies and made good use of them. My mom would always preserve them and put them up.
And it's good too to carry on, to pass it on. My daughter does a little bit, and Sarah's daughter also are in the gardening aspect of it. But both the boys on both sides, her son and my son, both love to hunt, and so it's already the same even kilter. I love the gardening and the hunting part of it.
It's a good balance.
Not only that, speaking of our kids, but it's pretty nice. Like a couple weeks ago, I got a text from one of my son's friends asking some questions about eggs, and of course, Mama there is chicken lady. So I detoured the question to her, and she answered it. And it's nice that somebody can call on us about something. Or it ain't just that. It's just friends asking her, especially with the chicken deal, or friends asking me about certain stuff to do with the gardening, or what we do, how we plant this or that and other, passing stuff along to other people. Because most folks that we do hang out with are like us.
They are. And it's ultimately their choice, our kids, what kind of lifestyle they choose once they get a household of their own. But it won't be from lack of being exposed to the homesteading ways, because we're very much involved in growing what we can from the land that we have, harvesting wild game. Majority of our meat source comes from wild game, depending on what season it is, but we try to stock up and have enough harvested during that season to last us through the off season. We eat a lot of deer, wild hog, we eat ducks,
turkeys,
wild turkey,
fish.
And plenty of fish. If any of you guys have checked out our fishing playlist, y'all know that we love to go fishing, especially for catfish. So our freezer, if you were to walk up on our porch and open up our deep freezer, it is slap full of pretty much food that we have either grown in the garden are harvested from the woods. And that's a good feeling.
It is.
It's a really good feeling to know that all of our stuff comes from our own hands, or what nature provides for us.
It's an accomplishment.
But this type of lifestyle gives you purpose. It gets you outside. It has tremendous mental and physical benefits to the human body, in my opinion. It's a lot of physical labor that's involved in, you know, gardening and the homestead way of life, whether it's, you know, feeding and raising the animals in the garden, tilling your land, preparing your land, sowing your land, and then of course your harvest. And then you have the endless cycle of preserving your harvest. And it's just an ongoing cycle that it's just a tremendous feeling to be a part of that cycle. And it gives you a sense when you're out there working in the garden or tending the animals, it gives you a sense of mindfulness that can only improve your mental state, in my opinion. Just being hands-on and just unplugging from the rat race of modern life.
Yeah, sitting in that truck. I drive a truck all week, and Mama there, she delivers, she drives as well all week. So dealing with that world of fast-paced going, and you see a lot of crazy stuff as we throughout the day, all day when we're driving around, and coming home, and then like you said, the mental stability of coming home. The mental part of it for me is the accomplishment of when I sit down to eat. You know, we've done this, and then it also helps with physically, keeps you in shape a little bit. Not only keeps you in shape, but it makes you get off your tail. Instead of sitting in there, you be like, you know what, I sure don't want to waste them tomatoes out there. Just like now, we're fixing to go out there in a few minutes and pick a bunch of tomatoes. We could go in the house and sit there and watch TV, but we know in the back of our mind, if we want to eat good, and we need to get out there and pick tomatoes. So it makes you get out there and get motivated.
Not only that, like you said, the physical benefits of it. During the summer months, and we live in a very humid climate here in Georgia, but in the summer months, there's not a day, not one single day, unless we are bad sick, that we don't come out here and break a sweat every day, doing something. And that's good for the body. The body needs that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, vitamin D, yeah,
But with all this said, we also want to elaborate a little bit that, again, we don't define homesteading by a textbook definition. We're not trying to live off-grid. We're not trying to live a primitive lifestyle. We still have plenty of modernization. We still very much live in the moderate world and plan to continue to do that. But anything that we have at our disposal with the land that we own and that we can produce stuff off of, whether it be harvesting game or harvesting food, we intend to continue to do that as long as we're able to do it.
Yep. And share with others, and like giving to the neighbors. It's just the whole cycle. If we need like our old tractor, we got an old International B14 tractor, a 60s model, and right now we got to go crank it with a pair of jumper cables because somebody running out of diesel. But if we needed a tractor, our other neighbor up the road there has a tractor with a grapple on it, and during the storm time, he come up here and move stuff. He gives us and we'll give him some okra, and we keep him stocked up on eggs. We'll give him some tomatoes. And it's
almost like a little unspoken bartering system that we have out here in our rural community of our neighbors. You know, like he said, I'm known as the egg lady, see Sarah if you need some fresh yard eggs. And I have a lot of people that get eggs from me, and I give them. I never charge for the eggs. I give them away, but the way that, like I say, it's just an unspoken language out here in this community that, no, I'm not going to charge you for those eggs, but I know if I need something that you have, that you're going to do the exact same for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very comforting feeling to have in today's world. Like when disaster strikes with Hurricane Helene, here in this location, and as you guys know, this hurricane came through. This is not something we're used to. Mm-hmm. Hurricanes don't usually make it this far inland, and to have it do such massive destruction is something that happened here that 80 and 90-year-olds have said they have never seen. And we may not ever see it again in our lifetime, but it was tremendously devastating to this community and several communities, because as you guys saw, it was a massive hurricane that had a huge path of destruction. But just to see the community come together in a time of need like that is just an amazing thing.
Well, I'll tell you what,
it humbles you.
Speaking of that, I mean, we're not extremists in far as we don't do a whole lot of canning and stuff like that. We do pretty much rely a lot on our freezer, but we do know how to can, and we have canned stuff before. But speaking of the hurricane, we had a family come over. Well, we had a lot of folks, 2 or 3 families come over here, and what most folks is panicking about, we're not going to have power for months. We're losing this, we're losing that. We all had set up with tables out here. We had plenty of gas for the fish fryer. We had a big old fish fry out here and just had a good old time for a couple of days. Cooked every day outside. So we were able to thrive, I guess, per se, with that happening. And I understand it's not a big scale. We're not like complete loss of power for months and months, and people go crazy with that, but we could sustain.
And that is a feeling that you cannot explain. Knowing that if we were long-term without power, just a complete state of devastation, there's some concern, and there's always going to be concern about how people react to that. But as far as us, we're not going to starve to death. We will not starve to death. And that's a good feeling, because knowing the skills it takes and the knowledge that you have to grow your own food and to provide for yourself is something that's becoming somewhat extinct in this day and time. And there's a lot of the younger generation that has no clue, no idea. And to me, that is where the fear would come from. But I don't have that fear.
That knowledge is priceless. It's just like a doctor or somebody that's went to school, a lawyer. What they're good at is priceless. I mean, you can't put a price on it. Just say, for instance, Mama and her chickens. Y'all don't realize how many phone calls that I get or she gets from people, not just here that live right around us, but from everywhere, to asking questions, because she has that hands-on experience with chickens, and she knows the ailments, how to treat this, how to do this. Tons of stuff. That knowledge is priceless, and the stuff that we have and have learned over the years with harvesting and planting gardens and the chickens and to learn how to hunt and fish and this, that, and other, that stuff's priceless. You'll need that.
And with that said, I still learn stuff about chickens every single day. In this homesteading way of life, you learn something every single day. It's not something. It's not like a lesson in a textbook where you sit there and you read the lesson and you learn the lesson, and that's all there is to it. It's a constant learning experience. You make many fails, and you learn from those fails, and you find a better way to do it. Mm-hmm. And you continue to improve yourself. You continue to get different strategies, and it's just a never-ending learning experience that also is very good for the mind, in my opinion. All right, so enough on that deep dive. To give you a little update since our last Sunday's Real Talk, we mentioned that we planted some corn and okra, and we really thought that it had completely washed away, but to our surprise, it didn't. And there was a few little spaces there where the seeds had washed, but majority of it remains and is up and looking good. And so we're very thankful for that. In fact, we went to the hardware store yesterday and they've got all their seeds on clearance, on sale, and bought a few more packs of those and bought some asparagus roots. So we're going to, we've never grown asparagus before, and I have learned that it's a, you know, it's a long time to harvest. I think a couple of years on asparagus, but we're getting ready to till up a little spot to start our little asparagus bed, and we're going to plant those roots, and hopefully they take hold in this heat and get established before the winter. And then of course they'll winter over in ground, and hopefully we'll see new growth and new asparagus coming up in the spring. And we will not harvest any of that. We will let that grow and do its thing, and then the second year we will be able to start harvesting. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm excited about learning about growing asparagus. What else did we get? I got some more zucchini seed and some more squash seed. We're wondering about the squash. The squash is going to be a little trial run for us because it is, you know, the temperatures are really up there for us right now. It is very hot.
Yes.
Woo! I feel sweat up under my eyes, my upper lip. Okay.
We're drinking water too. That's why we got a fire.
Yeah, we're both sweating, and I know that y'all are saying, like, why are they sitting there in front of a fire? But it helps keep the bugs. The bugs are awful down here. We have the mosquitoes, the sand gnats, and the whole 9 yards. And so when we're sitting still like this, you almost have to have the smoke from the fire to, or you'll just have bugs all over if you don't want to coat yourself in bug spray. Where was I going? Oh, the squash. We picked up a few more squash seed and zucchini seed, and
I'm not sure what she picked up because I was in the hunt section.
yeah, he's getting geared up for hunting already.
Bow season will be here shortly.
Yeah, we've already charged up the batteries in the deer cameras and went and put those out. And what are you doing, babe?
I know about what time it is. Just got hot, started fishing. Fishing season came in, but we already know what's around the corner. And there's no service back here.
Nope, there's not. But as far as videos that dropped this past week on our Laid Back Gardening series, episode 5, let me get my handy dandy little calendar here. We dropped late season garden haul, what to look for on the clearance racks. And like I was just speaking of, and if you guys have been tuned in, you know that we are bargain hunters when it comes to the garden vegetables this time of the year, for second plantings and sometimes third plantings, because we have a very long growing season here in 8B. But if you guys are looking to do a second planting before the season ends, check out that video. We kind of go through what to look for at your local garden centers, what things they usually put on clearance, and what's still growing this time of year. On our Garden to Table, episode 5, we dropped our Southern Tomato Pie. We talked about making that, I think, in our last Sunday's episode. And so that one's up and live. You guys check that out. I'll walk you through how to make some good old tomato pie, which is the ultimate summer comfort food in my opinion. Upcoming videos this week are, in our Laid Back Gardening series, episode 6, putting up tomatoes the easy way, no canning needed. We touched last week, or last Sunday, briefly on our method of how we preserve our tomatoes from the garden. So this is a step-by-step video, to show you guys how we put up our tomatoes to last us all winter. So be sure and check that out. That'll be dropping Tuesday. And then our garden to table episode 6 will be dropping Friday. And that's deer sausage stuffed bell peppers. TJ walks you through that complete recipe. Be sure and check out that. So for those of you that maybe are thinking into getting into the homesteading way of life or want to kind of dip your toes in the water, my advice to you is to start off small. Start off slow. Get you a couple chickens. Plant you a few vegetables. Don't get overwhelmed right from the beginning. Start real slow, real small, just what you can handle, and learn as you grow, and things will start coming naturally. Because becoming overwhelmed by it is not a good thing, especially in the beginning. There are times of the certain seasons that even for us, it can get overwhelming. It's a lot, especially if you're having to do it alone. That's why I am so thankful that I have a partner that enjoys it just as much as I do. We think the same, and you know, the way we go about things, we really relate to one another, and that really helps out and really means a lot. Speaking of chickens, if you guys have not seen our video about how chickens are actually good for your brain, check out this video right here. It's about all the mental health benefits that comes with keeping a backyard flock.
All right, I reckon we're gonna wrap it up. I know it's a little bit different from normal, but we really wanted to talk from our heart today. But until next Sunday, we appreciate y'all watching. Thanks, guys.
See ya.